10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. We have ignition.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program RP-0. We've got a bunch of things to cover today, and it's all going to be very, very condensed, so bear with me because I'm very behind on getting this series out to YouTube, and for that, many, many apologies. But as you may remember, not too long ago, we launched a couple of missions at Venus because we had a contract to radio science from the surface of Venus, and thought we could just roll it in with our crew. Well, that mission failed, so now we gotta make up for it, and hopefully not fail. So we have two missions on the way to Venus currently. One of them is this Origami 3V, which is our origami glider. We have flown this at Venus once before. It was actually the first time we deployed this spacecraft was to Venus. We've had another almost identical craft deploy at Titan, also with a great deal of success, but now we're just trying to dial in this approach to Venus to make sure that everything goes smoothly. And, well, yes, also apologies for the lack of sound. I forgot to record locally again, so I had to download this from Twitch. So yeah, it's probably not going to look as great as it usually does. But we've got our orbital insertion waypoint set up, and we will be making arrival at Venus in due time. We're going to jump out to Jupiter now for our Callisto lander mission, as it has a node coming up, in several hours, and we're just going to try to adjust our phase angle with Callisto so that we can make a attempt at orbital insertion in the coming days, weeks, or months, or something like that. Yeah, we're just going to try to basically double our periapsis to where Callisto's orbit is, in hopes that we'll be able to intercept next pass or so. And yep, sure enough, that will result in an encounter in which we will use to put ourselves into orbit. Now that that moment is done, we're going to jump back to Venus for what is probably going to be the primary focus of most of this episode. This is, of course, our Origami 3V, making a slight correction just to try to make sure it doesn't go piling into the atmosphere. I think we actually have enough Delta V to propulsively capture. Most of our tanks aboard this spacecraft are locked currently, so that Delta V figure is not entirely accurate. And now we're going to switch over to our primary mission, I guess. This is the one that we would like to work because it's the cheapest and easiest. This was launched on our Alt F12 launch vehicle, derived from the Alt F4, just with some boosters, and it is trying to just go Venus direct. We're not going to try to capture into orbit and arrange for a landing site or any of that stuff. We're just going to come piling into the atmosphere and try to deorbit and land all in one big go. But before that spacecraft will arrive and needs to make any kind of preparations, we are going to try to orbitally insert our origami spacecraft here into a very eccentric Venus orbit. The mothership section, the tail section, will probably stay in Venus orbit and help relay comms, and that will happen after the deorbiting of the glider itself, which will be in a future episode. We're probably going to have an entire episode dedicated to that thing flying around because, well, falling at Venus takes an obscenely long time, or at least it can. We'll have to see how all of that works out for us. This one actually has a fan on it, so hopefully it'll be able to stay aloft for just a little while longer. The first model of this flew around for several hours in the upper atmosphere, collecting lots of lovely data for us. So with that initial burn done, we'll unlock the rest of our tanks and try to put this into a nice little parking orbit. And that will only take but a few hours or so. We'll jump out to our apoapsis, deploy our solar panels, get our comms booted back up so that we can retain full control. I guess since we did this propulsively, we didn't really need to fold all those in, but yeah, we did it Anyway, the original version of that mission actually captured by Aero braking, and then made another pass, deployed some comm satellites, and then flew the glider down. So a little bit different here. And now we are on to our Venus Explorer lander, which we're just setting up our signal delays to get everything dialed in. We want to be able to radio some science back in on the way back down. We also want to make sure our Aero shell deploys after we have concluded the majority of our braking into Venus's atmosphere and are slow enough to not need it anymore. There is a decouple of the transit stage as we start to make our approach to Venus proper. We should be oriented successfully to retrograde once we hit Atmo. We just don't really know. So a few more setups here, just trying to make sure our boot sequence can happen appropriately, hopefully after we have touched down. But our parachute is armed, our comms are up and working, and now we can orient ourselves retrograde. We'll get ourselves a little bit of a spin very inadvertently, just because our mass is a little off, I think. But that spin stabilization is going to help keep us pointed butt down as we move through the atmosphere here, and while also trying to burn off all of that excess RCS propellant, just to make sure that we can come in nice and slow and, I don't know. Venus's atmosphere is like a frying pan, so the deceleration is probably not going to be a problem, but if this spacecraft does not deorbit and instead just captures, because it won't be able to fold out its solar panel, the batteries will be dead by the time we make another pass. So we really only have one straight go at this, and that Venus entry while crossing the Terminator is just absolutely fantastic to look at. We did have to sit back and just kind of admire the view, although I wish I had done something about the camera change. Since that was our capture camera change, we should be coming up on another shift once we have deorbited, but we have a lot of speed remaining to bleed off, so we did not approach particularly hot. I think we've had some higher energy approaches than this one, but spacecraft only weighs, somewhere a little north at 2 tons. There's our next camera change, and a nice view of the sky here as we rely on a little bit of physics warp to press through some of this deorbit. An amazing plasma trail there, as we will finally bleed off some of that and slow down enough to where the heating effects dissipate, and we have made a successful deorbit into Venus's atmosphere. And now we are at the mercy of remote tech in our planning to see if maybe, possibly, it was good enough to deploy the heat shield and the Aero shell before we touch down, which would be ideal, because that's the only way the parachute's going to pop out. And we really might need that, and we still might just have a random explosion like we did with our previous attempt with our spacecraft that was deployed from our interplanetary vessel Chestnut, which is currently parked in orbit doing not a whole lot of things except monitoring this situation and hoping for the best, that they can act as a relay to get some of this science radioed back home, and we can complete our contract and get paid out, because, well, there just aren't a whole lot of contracts available. And yeah, it looks like I have kind of screwed up with the timing. This stuff should have happened after the aeroshell deployed, but it did not. But we still got some worthwhile science radioed in. We're coming into Venus's Midlands as we cross through the last little cloud layer. We're only about 6 minutes from our aeroshell deploy at a current altitude of 13.5 kilometers. So I was starting to get just a little bit worried that maybe I done really goofed on setting up flight computer and the timer, but fortunately we were only traveling at 21 meters per second. But, well, yeah, for the rest of this, I'm going to turn you over to old me live during the broadcast. Katunk! Fairings away. Everything appears to have survived. Our probe is free and in its natural habitat. Let's hit radio in now that we can deploy our magnetometer. Toggle it again. Action Group 10, 5 minutes from deploy. Whoa. That's an interesting noise. Things all look fine from the ground. Here's hoping. How's our battery level looking? Perfect. We got plenty of electric charge. Natural habitat. Not sure if the probe agrees. 3 kilometers actual. Falling at 12 meters per second. How long till our landing antenna activate? 52 minutes. Well, that's just great. Boot for landing? Maybe? I don't think that's going to work. Why isn't our parachute deploying? That thing should have deployed. No, I don't want the comms. I want the parachute. Why haven't you popped open? You are already armed. I really want to know what your deploy altitude is. Please let it be 1 kilometer. 0.5. 1.4. Oh, I had the parachute. Toggle info. Oh god, I have to wait for 6 minutes for the toggle info. Oh, hey, there she is. That's cute. Please go to full deploy. Anytime now, thank you very much. Oh, thank God. 6 meters per second. Please don't explode. Please don't explode. Please don't. Yes! Oh, you beautiful bastard! You did it! Yes! Ha! Proof positive that even the easiest planet to land something on can still be super stressful, especially with dealing with remote tech. So, yeah, if only our landing antennas had deployed a little sooner, I think things could have been a lot better. But we did gather lots of very interesting science from this. We completed our contract and got paid out. And so we can call that one a success. We're going to put Origami here in a parking orbit, and we will come back and address it sometime in a future episode, hopefully very soon, because, well, we have Mars things to attend to. We're going to get all of the crew shifted over. Well, we're going to get 4 of the crew shifted over into the Mars descent vehicle, the Mars ascent vehicle also, and they'll start running their checklists, unlocking all of the life support thingies, and getting the spacecraft ready for its first actual crewed run of landing a crew down on Mars. But of course, that will be in the next episode. So that's going to do it for this one, everyone. Thank you so much for hanging out. I really do appreciate it. And I'll see all of you in the next one. So until then, see you later.